that's when you start getting upset and frustrated that it's not working fast enough. If you don't 100% believe in your business, don't get upset when the person you're trying to sell your products or services to doesn't 100% believe in your business either. And actually, if you've not got that self-belief, when it starts getting a little bit sticky, go back and go and get a proper job.
On this week's episode of Escape the Rat Race Radio, we have a very special guest indeed. It's the UK's #1 motivational speaker, Mr. Brad Burton. Now, for those of you that may not have come across Brad before, he is the hard-hitting, no-nonsense speaker, originally from Salford, Manchester, now living in Somerset, and he's an Amazon #1 bestseller. He runs the Brad Camp, and he's the founder of the UK's #1 biggest, largest business networking for networking. You're going to absolutely love this interview. Brad doesn't hold anything back. He tells it like it is. He's a true entrepreneur, and he has come from humble beginnings, which he will share with you through this interview. So let's not wait any longer. I can't wait for this. Let's hand it over to Mr. Brad Burton. So welcome to another episode of Escape the Rat Race Radio. And this week we have a very, very special guest. We have Mr. Brad Burton on the line. Are you there, Brad?
I'm just hiding now, pretending, just joking. Yeah, I'm absolutely here. Ready to roll, star. Ready to roll. 9 o'clock on the nose. Oof, let's do it.
Yeah, good stuff, Brad. How are you doing today?
Yeah, you know what? As always, I'm kicking ass. I've got a really positive outlook. It's Monday. I'm good to go. You're good to go. What's not to love?
I know. And where are you in the world today, Brad?
Well, I've actually got myself a secret bunker over in Somerset. I'm a bit like Batman in that I've got myself a underground cave and laboratory where I hide out and do all my mixing now, rubbish. I'm actually over in Somerset. I'm based in Somerset now. I've lived here for about 20 years. And, this is home for me now. Originally from Manchester, but Somerset right now is home.
Yeah, very nice. And we obviously hooked up a couple of weeks ago. We met at the Entrepreneurs Academy London the other week, which is run by Junior, and you smashed up the crowd like you always do. That was a great night.
Yeah, you know what? It was a wonderful night, and there's a real vibe there. There's a lot of people coming up to me afterwards. You can always tell a good gig because of that. Either people shoot off or you've got a big queue of people. It was wonderful. I'm just a working class lad from Manchester, and then people, get me autograph and people taking photographs. It was, mind blowing. But yeah, great gig. And what Junior's doing out there is really groundbreaking.
Definitely, hats off to him. Let's really get stuck into this because I want to obviously give maximum value to all of our listeners, all of the Escape the Rat Race members. Now, the podcast comes out on a Monday morning, so for many people, Monday mornings are something they dread. I know that I've been in that position in the past where I just can't really be asked to face another week, sat in the office, looking at the clock and... it was over 10 years ago, if I'm right, when you sacked your boss, and you've got a great story behind that. Would you say that it's got easier or harder for people in this day and age now to be able to sort of leap from that employee to entrepreneur route?
If you're dreading Monday mornings or your weekends are going too fast, you're in the wrong job, you're in the wrong business. And I was in the wrong job, wrong business 12 years ago. And I told my employer to shove his job up his backside. And, I was £25,000 in debt, no income. And my wife wanted me to go and get a proper job because at least you know where you stand. You know exactly where you stand with a proper job. No, you don't. Tell that to the 5,000 people from HSBC that have just been let go. The 3,000 people from Boots. When you run your own business, you know exactly where you stand. You've got to get used to it. I would say that right now, more than ever before, especially with the likes of the internet and the fact that you can work anywhere and you've got your mobile phones, your iPhones and what have you, more than ever before, it's so easy. It's so easy. But I think the thing that people lack is self-belief. And actually, if you've not got that self-belief, it's all too easy to go, when it starts getting a little bit sticky, go back and go and get a proper job. I think the prevalence, like I say, of handsets like me, when I'm on the road, I'm always in contact via Twitter, via Facebook. And that's the thing, is that the old days of having to pick the phone up and do cold calling and like, you can just circumvent that now. And you can just @ Brad Burton on Twitter. Yeah. So more than ever before, it's a whole lot easier. But I think the thing that's not changed is that self-belief thing. I think that's the X factor, whether you've got what it takes or not to make it.
That leads on perfectly to the next question that I had, is entrepreneurship for everybody? And is it something that can be learned?
So I'm 43 now. I didn't start my own business off till I was 31, right? that's 31. That's quite a long time in my life, really, before I threw the switch. And what happened for me was I was working for a company. The penny dropped that I could be working 40, 60, 80-hour weeks for this company and still never be able to have the life that I wanted for my family. And it was like the sort of scales fell away from my eyes, and I just thought, wow, everything that I've been told, work hard and get yours, you get a nice, comfortable pension, was a myth. So in terms of entrepreneurship, I don't actually believe everyone is cut out for it, and I think it's all too tempting to think you are cut out for it. I think it's all too tempting to watch The Apprentice or Dragon's Den and think that, well, that could be me. I've got a great idea. Well, great idea is just one part of it. Literally, the amount of great ideas that I've had in my time, that's 1% of it. The actual doing it is 99% of it. So I don't think everyone's cut out for it. I think people need to be honest. To save themselves, getting themselves into a mess, I think they need to be honest with themselves. And it's a bit like the X Factor, you see people going on there and they sound like wailing banshees, yet the family and friends have said, yeah, it's the best, you're the best singer ever. Come on, Simon, put her through. And that's the danger sometimes with business, in that you see people, it's all very well saying, yeah, there's a great idea for you to paint pictures and everyone will buy them. But actually, talk is cheap, money buys houses. So you've got to get beyond the friends and family telling you it's a great idea to establish, really, first and foremost, is it really a great idea? So not everyone's cut out for it, and I think you need to be honest with yourself sooner rather than later.
And obviously the age that we're in now with the internet and just so much overwhelm out of there, that I find a lot of people that come and join the meetups every month with us just don't know which direction to look at. And I've seen some of your great videos recently where you talk about the grind and the hustle, and there's a lot of this on the internet now. And as you say, it's made out that, anyone can become an entrepreneur, and, right, you've got to be working absolutely every second of the day. And it's true, you have got to work hard. There's no doubt about that. But what's your take on this whole sensation around entrepreneurship that seems to have really grown over the last 18 months?
Absolutely. So here's the thing, Chris. Gary Vaynerchuk grinds, Gary Vaynerchuk hustles, and this guy is an animal. There's not many people out there that are cut from that same cloth. And if you try to copy his playbook and you're just a normal person that doesn't have that daft intensity and daft drive, then you're going to come unstuck. You're going to feel a failure. You're going to feel that you've underachieved. So what I've just talked about in my new book, which is out soon, Now What? This whole thing is about being you, being the best version of you, finding your level, because not everyone can be Alan Sugar, not everyone can be Richard Branson, but what you can be is a better version of you. Let's just go back to me. I was 31-year-old when I started my business off. I've done 4 years on the dole, so 4 years signing on. I never had a pot to piss in. Now you look from where I'm I've written 4 books. I run 4 networking, 5,000 networking meetings. I'm a motivational speaker. I get paid lots of money to go on speaking. I'm still the same guy that I've always been. The difference is the ingredients have changed. Sorry, the recipe has changed. The ingredients are the same. The recipe has changed. And it's taken me 12 years to get to that stage. No amount of hustling and grinding back then, I couldn't have forced it. How do you boil an egg? It takes time. And if you've not got time, you ain't boiling an egg. You can speed it up, the process. But that's called scrambled egg. Is that what you wanted? So this whole thing here, it's all about people finding their way. Stop looking at Gary Vaynerchuk. And I've got nothing but admiration for the kid. But what I'm trying to say is that's not for everyone, right? Not everyone's got that mad intensity that guy is special gear. And if you try to copy somebody else's playbooks, like somebody trying to copy my playbook, you'll come unstuck in the same way that I try to copy other people's playbooks. In like your archetypal professional person, I tried to copy their playbook, and guess what? I came up empty every single time. That's bizarre, and this is what happens. So you've got to find your own playbook. By all means, get inspiration, get motivation and driven from these people. But honestly, you cannot build a plan around just grinding and hustling. You've got to have focus, and you've got to know what you're doing.
That is one of the reasons I would imagine why events such as For Networking, which is obviously the business that you've built to phenomenal success, and meetup groups such as the Escape the Rat Race meetup and many others, is a great starting point for people, and they're not quite sure exactly what the right path is for them, to go and hang around with like-minded people and test the water before investing loads of money. And I know that both you and I are very passionate about that same cause of people not wasting time and money unnecessarily, which unfortunately we see quite often these days.
Well, Chris, what happens is you have this whole piece where when I speak, I tell people that it's going to be a long, arduous road. Okay. And if anyone comes on in my training courses, it's a long, arduous road. Just let me tell you that it's going to take you time. Where the industry, the personal development industry is built up is, hey, guess what? Come along to this wonderful day and you'll learn the secrets how you can increase your sales by 2,473% overnight. It's all bullshit. So people go along there. People, if you're faced with like a queuing system, one is me with my completely sensible, balanced approach to business, which is, yes, it's going to be long, arduous, but as long as you've got your mindset right, you can do it. And then the other side of the coin is two entrances, and the other entrance is saying, hey, come here, and for £1,000, what you'll learn is this, and this. The certainty salespeople, people will be queuing up there. And my message is I believe, truly, I believe it's a bit like the hare and the tortoise. I think that my whole approach is, see, every step of the way, everything that I've done, I've been told it was daft idea. So if I look at Flow Networking, daft idea, I was told from the bank managers, and people laughed at me. 5,000 networking events across the UK we run each year. My books, Brad, you can't call a book Get Off Your Ass. Why not? Because it's an offensive title. It won't get stocked at Waterstones. It's now stocked at Waterstones. It's the highest rated business book on Amazon. Same goes for me being a motivational speaker. People laughed me out of it. And I'm doing the same with the personal development world, is that I believe, truly, there's a new way which isn't this selling certainty. I think the new way in personal development is honesty. And I think that's the bit that lacks in this whole personal development thing. I really do. And it pains me. And it's something that I've got a bit of a crusade on going forward in 2017.
I absolutely love that, Brad, and I feel that's been such an important part of what we've created with Escape the Rat Race, right. Is that trust and that community feeling that people know that you're the real deal, that you're genuinely there to help, and you're going to tell it like it is, and that's absolutely the way that you live your life.
Do you agree though, there, Chris, that there is this whole personal development here, that somewhere along the way you can go on a day course, and the next thing all your challenges are fell away, and you're making loads of money. There's this whole complete industry built up on that, and it's sad because I see people that can ill afford to be spending money, but they want the fast track. They want the fast track, and I'm sorry, the fast track doesn't exist in my view. I think there's a faster track. I just don't believe there's a fast express route to success. I think it's going to be, like I say, long, arduous, and tested.
I agree, because I'm learning from that experience myself, and obviously that's the passion that we can share with others. And let's just take it back then to, I'd love to get your take on goal setting and setting a future vision, because we always hear that you have to know why you're doing this, and you have to have a really clear vision of what it is you want to achieve. So did you have that clear vision at the beginning, Brad?
I think what I had a clear vision of was I wanted to earn money. I was unhappy from a financial perspective where I was, literally hand to mouth. So I'd have no spare income. £15 or £20 was a big purchase for me back in the day when I was employed. And to stay in that level of pressure, from a financial pressure, is tough. And you can't do that for a life, or you can, and that's why you end up unhappy. So that was my initial vision, was to get out of that poverty trap, really, where I was. Spending a lot of money on travel, a lot of money on rent, that kind of thing, and actually having no spare income. So you're just working to keep a roof over you. One of the original things that I wanted to do, I did promise my son, he was a baby at the time. I'm delivering pizzas 12 years ago, by the way, keep my business afloat. I promised him that I'd take him to Disney World. I had no idea I was going to do that when I was on minimum pay, but that kept me focused. That kept me honest. And actually, I've taken my boys to Disney World for the last 8 years. So it's that kind of thing. You need to tune into a mission that is more than just money. So if your only motivation is money, it's not enough. So you need to have a purpose for that money. In my case, it was taking my my boys to Disney World. So that's what I'd say to people, is that your vision, whatever it is, just sense check it and say, okay, is that really my vision? Is that really why I'm doing this thing? Because I want money. Well, that's great. What are you going to do with that money? Well, I want a Louis Vuitton handbag. Not me, but I want that's not a big enough motivator. If you get a whack in the mouth to go, oh, yeah, let's go again because I want a Louis Vuitton handbag, that's not enough. But to do it for your family and do it for the right reasons, that's what kept me going, because I've wanted to quit 11 times in the last 12 years. Like literally 11. I've got as close as any single individual can do to quitting. And the only reason I didn't quit is it was no longer about me. It was about my family and doing it for them.
That was one of the points that really stuck out for me when you spoke the other week, was your 1, 2, 3 priorities, and how you realised that actually you had those 3 the wrong way around. And maybe you could just share that quickly with everyone.
Of course. My priorities back in the day when I first started off were 1, business, 2, family, 3, health. And actually, I've got type 2 diabetes, I've got my business was rocking and rolling. I got type 2 diabetes because my health was at the back of the queue. And because my business was ahead of my family, I had a nervous breakdown. And I also was one day away from getting divorced, but I got a multi-million-pound business. My priority list is flipped now. So my priority is health first, family second, business third. And that allows me to understand that actually, if you've not got your health, everything else falls to shit anyway. Yeah. So I've just flipped it. So rather than it being, which most people, this entire, hey, 4 a.m. club, grind, hustle, priority is about business, winning at any cost. And that cost is often too much. In my case, illness, and also I had a mental breakdown as well, nervous breakdown mentally, because the pressure got to me because I put health right at the back of the queue. So I urge all your listeners, as tempting as it is, to be focused on business, to get it through. There is a way through which will take you a little bit longer, but you'll be able to sustain it, because I could have quite easily been in Wetherspoons at 8 a.m. in the morning now, drinking a pint, being divorced and having lost my business as well. And that's what happens. So I would say to every single individual, this is my priority list. This should be your priority list. 1, health, 2, family, 3, business. And that's taken 12 years of running my own business to realize that, if you see what I'm saying. But only because I was so close to losing it, and it could have gone completely the other way. I might have been, like I say, not having this interview now and be sat in Wetherspoons nursing a pint at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Advice that just must be heeded. I get very wrapped up in working as well, and my girlfriend's like, you've just got to take some time out, and sometimes when you're so focused on your business, you can just get really sucked in like that. I can see that happening already. So yeah, absolutely critical advice.
I think we enjoy it because it's exciting, right? Because when you're an entrepreneur and you're out there and you've got no money and you're begging, you're stealing, you're borrowing. I get it. It's exciting, but so is driving at 100 miles an hour. But you imagine driving 100 miles an hour. How exciting is that? Oh, wonderful. It's redlining the car. Everything's exciting. And all of a sudden, a cat runs out in front of you. Straight away, you're either veering out of there, and because you're going so fast, you only got a split second to think about. You've got no spare bandwidth. All of a sudden, you're in a hedge or you hit the cat, and then you've got to deal with that forevermore. That is a great metaphor for what happens when you're driving at 100 miles an hour. You think it's exciting, and it is exciting whilst it goes your way. When it goes the other way, all of a sudden you go, how did he end up here? Because you're not in control. So my advice would be to do 70 or 80 mile an hour and be in control rather than being redlining, which is what caused me problems. I've learned from that now. I've actually learned as a result of it. And as I said when I spoke at the Juniors thing, this is everyone's story. The difference is I'm daft enough to share it.
Yeah. If you keep driving at 100 miles per hour, you're going to burn out the engine, aren't you, pretty quickly? So
you can't sustain that forever. And that's the other thing. And go back to me, dynamic entrepreneur, written 4 books, motivational speaker, run my business and everything's cool, blah, 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 boom. And yet I had a nervous breakdown. So are you telling me, person listening to this now, are you telling me that you've got more mental fortitude than me? Are you telling me that you can resist it? Because I tell you something, you can't run from your head. So there is a way here of, and it's a great example, something I do on one of my workshops. I say this, would you rather have a £2 million business and be divorced, nervous breakdown and broken? Or would you rather have a £1 million business and be happy, married and balanced? And it's an obvious, but there's a price to pay for success, and often it's too much. And people don't realise that until it's too late.
We know there's going to be some tough times along the way, Brad. You just mentioned, obviously, some of your own personal experiences. What's a couple of tips or your best tip for someone who's either in that transition period from employee to entrepreneur? They're working a full-time job and then they're going home at night and they're putting 4-5 hours into their own business and maybe weekends as well. And sometimes the motivation dips, we're putting the work in, and a phrase that I like is success is a lagging indicator. You've got to put the hard work in before you necessarily see the results. So what are a few tips for people who maybe are just not seeing those results yet and are getting a bit demotivated?
So 2 things here. If you're running a business and also running a full-time job, I get it. But somewhere along the way, what's happening here is you don't 100% believe in your business idea. Because actually, if you're 100%, as in 100% believed in your business idea, you'd walk today, right? But somewhere along the way, you've not got the money, Either you've not got the whatever, but something's going on here, because actually just think about the logic that if you 100% believed in something, you wouldn't, if you 100% believe that your parachute's going to work, you wouldn't worry about, jumping. I think that's something that the people need to question themselves here. And this isn't about being reckless or throwing everything in the bin. It's not about that, right? But I think you need to put down a deadline. See, I walked out of a job after a meeting at work. I went, you know what, shove it. And I walked out £25,000 in debt, no income, a wife that wanted me to go and get a proper job, and baby Ben. I had no savings, and I walked out of a job. At no point have I starved to death. At no point have I had my house repossessed. I've had letters from the mortgage people telling me that, that I'm behind and this, that, and the other, and I rang them up and I knew what to do and blah, 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 blah. But at no point have I lost. So all these things in your fear that you think are going to happen, they don't, or it's rare they do. You've got to be really stupid to lose your house, right? Because actually there's laws in place now that actually as long as you speak to them, it's when people don't speak to them, that's what causes them problems. So I would ask your audience to say, okay, put down a date. Put a date down when you're going to hand your notice in and walk, right? Whether it's 3 months away, 6 months away, a year away. Put that date in your calendar. And on that date, you walk or you decide that actually it's not for you. Because I'm telling you, as that deadline nears, you'll get more and more focused. The fear that you're going to have to encounter will bubble over, or you'll turn down the heat and it'll subside. But you've got to give yourself a deadline, because at the moment, you're not taking it seriously, if I'm really honest. You're not taking it seriously, you're playing at it. And then when you get playing at it results, that's when you start getting upset and frustrated that it's not working fast enough. If you don't 100% believe in your business, don't get upset when the person you're trying to sell your products or services to doesn't 100% believe in your business either. Deadline, definitively. Ask yourself a question, do you 100% believe in this business? If the answer is yes, then what are you waiting for? Because my wife wanted me to go and get 3 months worth of money before I started my own business off, right? Now, bear in mind, going back to what I said before, £20 was a big spend back then. Imagine I could save £100 a month, let's say, for sake of argument, or £200 a month. It would have took me 2-3 years to get to that 3 months worth of money. And then what happens if the alternator on the car goes, or the boiler goes, or we need to buy a school uniform? But do you see what I'm saying? So all of a sudden, you're waiting for perfect conditions. I'd be probably about 42 years old before I started the business up on that basis. Yep. So I never starved to death. I never got my house repossessed. So the question I would ask is, what's the danger? The danger here is if you start your own business off and it doesn't work, then guess what? You can go and get a proper job, which takes you exactly back to the very place where you already started. Go for it.
Brilliant stuff. I'm going to move on to have a little bit of fun with you now. So this is a new feature, which you're the very first guest to sample this. So maybe you can let me know what you think of this. So going to move into a few kind of rapid fire questions here for you. And going to kick it off with the daily discipline. So this is one habit or activity that keeps you focused and on the path every day. What would that be?
Twitter or social media. I'm massive on social media in terms of, when I say massive, I'm massively active. So I'm on Facebook, the 4 networking community, daily. So, I mean, listen, that's where I hang out on Facebook, the 4 networking Facebook community. I also hang out on Twitter. I just love social media. It keeps me active. It allows me to throw my thoughts out there. And also the great thing about that is it also allows me to find new content. So I put stuff out there, and if it takes light, I go, okay, that's cool, and I put it into a little folder, and then I know that's that'll be new content either for one of my speaking gigs and for another book. And that's how I've written this 4th book. This Now What book was on that basis.
That moves nicely into all readers are leaders. So what's the book or audio other than your own which has most inspired you recently?
Yeah, Tony Blair's autobiography. I just love that. In that it, for me, showed me that what they did, the Labour Party, New Labour, is they made the establishment look old-fashioned and fuddy-duddy, which is exactly what I've done every step of the way, whether it's for networking, my books, my speaking. That's what I've done. I've made the establishment look old-fashioned and fuddy-duddy, not by saying, hey, they're old-fashioned and fuddy-duddy, but by making them look, because I'm so progressive and a modern approach to business. So Tony Blair's autobiography for me, just fabulous.
Fantastic. Okay, so moving swiftly on to the Rejection Recall. So can you recall the biggest rejection in your business life? What was it and how did you bounce back from that?
I've had lots of rejections, and actually, I don't give a shit about them anymore. It's funny because I'm genuinely not bothered. There was a time when I went for a TV show to be a presenter on a TV show, and I got down to the last two, and I got rejected. And their job is to waste your time. Since that point, I've had 3 or 4 TV inquiries, and what I'm not doing anymore is I'm not getting on the train going all the way to London to have an hour meeting, because their job is to waste your time. If they're interested, they'll get in their car and come to you. So I've learnt massively from it. But yeah, TV company. And I think one of the funniest things ever is I was on, you like this, I was actually filmed for the One Show, and I was due to be on it. Let's say it was Monday at 7 p.m. And I told everyone, I emailed my database, 100,000 people, and told them that I'm going to be on the One Show, and a screen grab of me speaking to the One Show and this, that, and the other. And 7 o'clock comes, the show's on, everyone's tuned in. It's like I'll watch on Twitter, everyone's watching it. 7:29, I'm still not on. Show goes off, everyone lolling. The producer says, "Sorry, Brad, it got cut last minute, but don't worry, it's going to be on Wednesday." So I'm going, "Oh God!" I then created a hashtag called the Non-Show, right? Everyone's laughing at me. So I told everyone, "It's not a problem, guys. I've just had the producer on the phone. They apologise. It's going to be on Wednesday." So guess what? Everyone tuned in on Wednesday, and guess what? It was cut again, and that was it. Yeah, wounded. So that was probably the biggest thing. But what I did is, like I say, I created the hashtag, the Non-Show, and rather than running from it, I actually started embracing it. A couple of mentors now within For Networking. One is Ian Dixon, former European Business Coach of the Year 2013. He looks after me. And funny enough, I'm on my way to see him today. We're going to go and have a curry and get drunk. And also the other guy called Crosley is the Mindtech technician.
And another phrase that really stuck in my head when you spoke the other week was experience is what
rather than
you
actively going, "Hey guys, I'm looking for a mentor," you just find someone.
Awesome.
That's what I do. I just find someone. Mr. Miyagi, we found Daniel painting fences. It wasn't, "Hey, I need to have a mentor." So I would, rather than actively say I need a mentor, just actively look for one. And then when you find the right person, but this is the other thing, follow one person. When you're trying to follow too many people, and like I say, I've got 2, one a business coach and a mental coach. So when you're trying to follow too many people, it gets confusing. And that's where I think people go wrong. You see them on Facebook going to the next conference and the next conference and the next conference and the next conference and the next conference. Fucking do something. Too much talking, not enough doing.
Final one of this rapid fire new feature here is called What's Happening. And this is, what's the most used app on your phone at the moment, Brad?
Yeah, that's it. I'm looking now. Most used app on my phone is Waze, which is the GPS system by Google, which is great because it's a real-time social media thing. So I'm driving along the motorway and I see a police speed trap. I press the button to say police speed trap, and everyone else on the network gets to see there's a police speed trap there. That saved me 9 points in the last 12 months. I drive 20,000 to 40,000 miles a year. I love Waze. Thank you so much, Google. And I'll tell you something about that. A great example of technology. Waze, I've got a 200, 300 pound Garmin GPS. I don't use it anymore. It's in the bin, right? And I use Waze, a free app, WAZE. Honestly, absolute point saver.
Yeah. So, Brad, it's been awesome speaking to you. I know that your schedule is hectic. You've talked about your book that's coming up. When is that coming out, Brad?
Yeah, it's November 17th. So by the time that people read or listen to this, go to bradburton.biz/now what, and you'll see everything you need to see about that new book. But genuinely, it's a book where if you're at a crossroads in your life, will help you find answers. And this is from experience of losing lots of stuff, of experience of winning lots of stuff. And it's the kind of book that only you can write having had the ups and downs of running a business for over a decade.
That sounds great. And of course, you've got your 4 networking meetings all across the country. Where would people go to find out about where their closest meeting might be, Brad?
Good stuff. So do find it on Facebook, the 4 Networking Community. That's probably the best way to look at it. Or go onto the website, 4networking.biz, which we are now working on a brand new website, which will be out in May next year. But yeah, I mean, you've got my books. Find me on Amazon. Just Google Brad Burton if you want to have more access to me. But do find me on social media. Like I say, I'm really active, and tell me that you listen to this podcast, and we go from there.
Excellent. Brad, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I look forward to our next encounter, and I wish you all the very best for the forthcoming future. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Brad Burton. He laid it all on the line in typical Brad fashion. doesn't hold anything back, and I love his style. If you enjoyed Brad's interview and you want to check out more of his work, then go to Amazon. He's got a whole bunch of books there. Get Off Your Ass, Get Off Your Ass 2, and Life Business Just Got Easier. He is absolutely phenomenal. He's the UK's #1 motivational speaker, and now I think you know why. Okay, you've been a great audience today, as always. If you haven't already joined the Escape the Rat Race Facebook page and online community, then search for us there. We've got a private group and you're more than welcome to join. And of course, the official Escape the Rat Race website, www.etrr.online, with loads of free training, resources, and a whole bunch of personal development books and business books to get you motivated and fired up. Wishing you a wonderful week. Until next time, bye.